Good morning. It is May 24th. My Second Universe Writer's Update. Writing tip. Making sure you have something before you commit everything. I'll explain what I mean in a moment. The game session update will be about changelings. What is a changeling? Maybe a little bit about the Pipit under Cool Grievance's care scenario. And story time, I think we'll dive into the character Valisa from the live act or the virtual tabletop role playing game. I think that'll be a fun exploration of an interesting character arc, NPC character arc. I look at my novel, my still essentially half finished novel. And why is it still half finished? Why haven't I advanced to 3/4? Why has my schedule been paused for so long? Well, primarily it's because I am unsure of its quality. I demand of myself that this novel will be great. Not good, not okay, but great. Or very good to great. That there'll be enough going for it to overcome the okay moments, to push past the good moments, that the feeling readers will be left with was, wow, that was great, or that was really good. And I'm not getting that feedback yet. I don't want to push on at this point until I start getting that feedback. So I added a prologue, and I've been working on it, and I'm starting to get some greats from it. And I've been working on that first chapter to get readers more connected. My writing styles, it's once people get used to it, and they can get used to it pretty quickly because it's present tense third person, and that's a tricky one to do, especially with something fantastical like the fantasy or sci-fi genre. And I think it can make my stories really stand out, but it is a tricky thing to do well and to get used to. I think of it like a movie, like a video experience in someone's head as they read it, as I create it. So that initial connection to the character can be a little difficult if I'm not explicitly saying their emotions, and so I'm working on adding a little more, so the main character is that people care about and understand her, just like the basic stuff. You have a character that the main character that has a plot and a character arc that is that the readers care about. Basically, they have to care to keep going. They want to be curious. They have to care. So I've achieved that, I think, with a prologue from the feedback, and I'm hit and miss with the first chapter. I'm getting some goods. I'm not getting some greats. So I need to add a little bit more, and I'm also concerned about it, the length. I'm trying to keep it under 2,500 words. Right now it's like 2,300 or so. Like I think closer to 2,000. Like 2,000 words is a good solid number for a first chapter. 3,000 I think is too many. Anyway, so my writing tip. It's one of the toughest things in the world, but be ready to pull the plug. Be willing to pull the plug if you just keep hammering at it and you're just not getting the great feedback, or at least if you're not getting your goal in feedback from the readers that you have reviewing, before you throw like novels can take a hell of a long time to do. So before you throw years at it, make sure it's worthwhile to you. For me, I want this novel to be my success. I want it, even though it's the second in the series, which will have its own difficulties, but I want it to be something that can stand on its own and people will love and enjoy. So in the same setting, so related, but going into the game session. So I do my virtual tabletop game session through Roll20. It takes place in the same setting as my novels, and I want to talk about changelings. What are changelings in my world? In real world mythology, I mean, from actual mythology from our history, changelings, I think it's a British Celtic type fairy thing where you look at a baby and you're like, that's not my baby. That's not my baby. That's some fairy came and switched our children. I suspect there may be a like infidelity element of fathers looking at a child and either not seeing themselves in the kid because of maybe looks more like the mother, or that kind of looks like the farmer over the hill there. And then the changeling, the fairy changeling, is kind of a convenient excuse. For my lore, where I've mashed all mythologies, past, present, and created some future ones together, a changeling is a being that cannot maintain itself in the physical domain, in the physical world, without some kind of anchor, and that they mix themselves with a newborn or with a baby that before the baby's born, and they become a hybrid being and are able to anchor themselves to physicality that way. So some of the terminology, I haven't decided, like, do I say realm or domain, because I have 5 realms and each realm has 5 domains in my setting. So I don't want to reuse the words realm and domain. But the 5 kinds of creatures that will meld with, let's say, mortals, are devils, demons, angels, jinn, and fairies. Each one corresponding to one of the 5 colored domains within their relevant realms. So take the fairy example. You just like in where the word originates, as far as I understand, you have that connection to a fairy. A fairy will want to walk the earth, but has to surrender a portion of itself, of its being, has to truly mix with the spirit of a child as it's developing in the womb. And then after being born, it will be a special thing. Now, as a limitation on changelings, they are rarely successfully born. And it's a potentially fun, or it's certainly a fun idea, but it's something that I haven't incorporated into my fiction, my independent fiction, but I have incorporated into the collaborative storytelling of the game that I master. Now, let's move on to story time. Valisa. Valisa is a character, a newborn girl that is a charge of the party of characters played by the players that I game master. So her story begins with centuries ago, a party of adventurers travel to the ruins of a castle where there are caverns, caves, entrances nearby that ages past long before the castle had been made, was a stronghold of dwarves. The adventurers know that the ruins have been picked over, the castle ruins outside, but they're curious about the deeper, older dwarven ruins and the treasures that may yet to be uncovered. So they go into the caverns, and the first thing they notice is the walls are fibrous, that there's a fungal element coming from another world, not a native species, shall we say, from the underworld. There are 5 worlds, 5 separate planets from this one that are connected through mystic portals and have flora and fauna from these alien worlds coming and invading invasive species. And this cavern has been invaded with a fungal-based one that has covered. It's almost like they're walking into a body. They go deeper in, deeper in, deeper in, and they are never seen from again. At least alive. Centuries later, we have the Kolgravans-led party that I game master. They come to the ruins and they set up base in the castle ruins outside, and then events push them to explore the caverns, and they face the threat of the end that the previous centuries ago party had faced. And as they progress deeper in, and the fungal monsters present themselves, the fungal people, they are surprised by the appearance of Valen, who looks to be like a quarter elf, human, and like 1/4 elf, and doesn't speak in whole sentences, just is an unusual, not just that he appeared in this cavern alone, but what he says and who he is, Valen. They talk to him, and they learn that he's an amalgamation of the party that had disappeared generations ago and was put together by the fungal mother, the Scoby, as an attempt to seek help to deal with a demonic infection. The party takes Valen under their wing, and they use him to overcome, through a series of adventures, the demonic force that has infected the fungal mother, that is responsible for the disappearance of that adventuring party so long ago. As a result of the expelling of the infection, there is a baby elf girl, and the elven part of Valen is expelled as well. So the party sees this miracle baby through a mystic process that nobody really witnessed. Here is this baby that is, at least in part, come from Valen. There was a potion involved. One of the elvish characters in the party had shared her blood in the potion. The result was this elvish girl, Valisa, as she's named. And elvish babies are like finger length. They are super teeny, and they grow very slowly. They are plant-like. She gets taken to a troll ring. So trolls are like Trents, kind of, from Lord of the Rings. Is how I see them in my fiction. And a troll ring is when trolls get old enough, they just become like giant redwood equivalents, essentially. Elves, when they get super old, they can turn into regular sized trees, and then brownies turn into like the smaller trees. So this troll ring is a place of power, and it becomes the home for Valisa. Now, Valisa isn't, of course, an ordinary elf girl, isn't an ordinary elf baby. And she has a kind of affinity for the demonic. There is a gate to the demon domain that is corrupting the nearby, is corrupting the troll ring's place of power area. And Valisa is balancing that corruption, making it work where it just shouldn't work. And that's where she is similar to a changeling, connecting two worlds that shouldn't be able to be connected, two kinds of things, black and green in this case. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to understand without the context, without having the game session experience. I'll have to work on that. But it's a very interesting story, Valisa, as she came to be from Balin, and just the experience of a party with a newborn, with the care of the newborn. I'll leave that at that. I'll leave it at that, and I'll do a riddle that I created real quick. And with 17 minutes, good God, I'll call it a day. The riddle: what a rabbi has when they don't like coffee, what leaves eggs but doesn't lay them, what takes 12 years to come around, what is soft but bounces and screams like a banshee. See you next week.